Welcome to the February 24th board meeting. We're going to do the study session, 6:30, where it got a little late start. We had a 6 o'clock meeting. I apologize. It kept us over a little bit. What we're going to talk about today, first, the study session, is the proposed bridge commission ordinance, and I take it everybody looked at it. I have just a couple questions on it, but what I'd like to do first, see if, Derek, if you have anything to say first, and then we're going to jump into this with any comments or questions. Obviously, this is from Kristen, our municipal attorney, and she has given us a rough draft. Once again, I hope everyone's looked at it. And Derek, why don't you just give us an overview, and then we'll go from there and see if there's any questions or concerns. And
some time ago, probably a little over a month ago, Kristen was directed by the board to put together a draft ordinance for a toll bridge commission. This was her attempt to put something together just to start conversation. So this is just a real rough draft to start somewhere, and wanted to put it before the board for conversation, for changes, discussion, additions, deletions, anything that you might see to be fit for this. The commission ordinance is like our other commission ordinances. It's built into Chapter 67. Basically outlines the roles and responsibilities of the commission, its memberships, its responsibilities, as I mentioned, and this would be utilized to form the commission and also direct them as far as their actions go. So with that, really the purpose of all this is to get your feedback and input on any changes, amendments, additions, deletions you might see fit for this draft ordinance.
all right, thank you, Derek. I had a couple questions I'd like to hear from the board first, though. After reading through this, is there anything that you guys have any concerns? This is the time now. Anything you think should be added, and we'll take the notes and we'll go over it and take it from there. So, does anybody have any? Anybody?
I'm all set at this point, Joe.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to
Kevin, go ahead.
find out the members, are all of the 7 members voting members?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking Derek. Yes. Yeah, the 7 members. Yeah, that's why there's a 7 person, it says on here. The 7 members, any member of a commission has the right to vote, and these would be the 7 members, correct. And it would be 3 township residents according to this plan here.
Does this commission need a treasurer just because of the sheer size of their economic throughput?
Good. That's a good question. We could run it by Kristen. I'm not sure. What we have on here, though, is that I'm not sure if we need a treasurer just because we have the township finance director, but that's up to you guys.
Most of our commissions don't. I don't think any of our commissions have treasurers, but we do provide support for financial information from our finance director. So, I mean, she would make available all the books, revenue and expenditure reports. I think there's a number of our commissions that receive that information. I think police is one. I don't know if fire receives it. I know DPS does. They get check registers, so they see all the checks going out. They see the revenues and expenditures for a given month. And actually, they approve those revenues and expenditures and check registers. They also get a treasurer's report, which has all the investment information. So you might be able to achieve that without having a designated like treasurer.
I think with ClearGov too, it makes it a lot more transparent because I think you can easily pull up. That's like you can share across department to department, so I think you can see it easier. But I personally was comfortable seeing that Teresa was, had oversight.
Well, I think that Teresa has got to be there for this magnitude of an issue, for the amount of money that's going to be going through in and out of here. I think that, and I have to say it, how Teresa has already performed and shown what she's done for the township. I certainly want her sitting right next to me on this issue.
I'd like to add
Would
another
you
thought.
be comfortable with that? I mean,
Yeah, I just wanted it
Yeah,
to be
that's fine.
considered by the board.
I just want to make sure you're comfortable and,
Joe,
yes, sir.
I'm comfortable with that, but I have a discomfort in a slightly different way. This is a bridge. And what I mean by that is that it is a costly thing. And knowing how bad something is when you look at it and how quickly it will deteriorate and then how much it will cost and how long it will take are not like making a Betty Crocker cake. It is a serious issue. And while you can have accounting skills, if you don't have the engineering or the maintenance skills there, when we're talking about this budget, I'm asking, where do we find those skills in this thing, or how do we make sure that we have them? Because that has a lot to do with it. We could unknowingly not judge the circumstance properly without somebody that knows how to do it.
Well, I think that you have 3 openings for the residents at large. We're going to be looking for specific qualities individuals, but between the finance director and our engineer, I'm assuming this is going to be Sohail from, is that correct?
That was the thought.
Yeah, it would be Sohail, who's been in a lot of these works anyway. Not to say he's run a bridge, but with all the experts that we have and people that we can get, Bill, and I'm not sure if I'm answering your question correctly, but
Got a couple of, you've raised another question for me in this, Joe.
why don't you shoot that one out? Go, let me
Well,
know what that is.
I think that if we have an engineer, and I'm talking about like one of those 2 guys that were up here from Haggerty and Harmon, I think the name of that company was, they have credentials in that very area. And the reason I like that is that there's a certain redundancy there. It shows that we were diligent and we had qualified people for that. I know how he and I get along, and I think he's an intelligent man. But if he doesn't have that experience on a bridge and we go to court someday, you never know what's going to happen. Your future's in the hands of other people. And if you have somebody in there that knows this stuff and does it every day, they're going to have a more qualified opinion.
So are you saying you want a specific bridge engineer on this board?
I would be more, well, I'm not sure on that. I want a specific bridge engineer, I would say that.
Well, I'm going to try to get one, so you know.
Okay, thank you. Now, just stay with me.
I'm staying with you.
I don't totally understand, even reading this, exactly what our structure is and where he fits into the organization chart. But I want one in there where they get, at budget time, a chance to have some input.
I guess I would explain it like, kind of like the DPS commission. They have a variety of different professionals that come and make presentations or converse with the commission about different things that are going on. I think the idea with this is to have representation from the township's civil engineer on the commission to help to interpret those things, to make sure that the commission as a whole understands what's being presented, and also have somebody there that's a fixture that has that civil engineering background. So you always have guidance there. And also they have the experience of working with the local government so that they can explain things the way that need to be explained on the commission. So I think having that person there wouldn't remove an H&H or another bridge engineering company from, a consulting responsibility. It's just you would have a civil engineer on there to make sure that that information can be explained well to the rest of the commissioners. And I think I wanted to follow up with Kevin's point. If there's some concern about voting members, what you could do is have the supervisor, the other trustee, and then the 3 at large being your voting members, and then have the 2 professionals, your finance director, because they're not necessarily residents, your finance director and your civil engineer being on the commission but not being voting members, so that they're in an advisory capacity. To make sure that they can be part of the conversation, but they might not necessarily take place in the votes. So
I think that's an excellent idea.
Well, and it's, if a bridge engineer applies for the bridge commission, like, great, we'll select them, but we can't really force a local bridge engineer to apply to this commission and serve on it for $0 a month,
Right.
it's a little Are there any other commissions where a township employee serves as a voting member?
I believe the airport does. I believe the airport manager serves as a voting member of the airport advisory committee. But other than that, I'm not familiar with any others.
Okay.
Hey, I have no problem if just the 5 have voting rights, because we would have the 2 experts, obviously going over whatever we're doing. So I think that was an excellent idea. I have no problem with that.
Wait, so which 5 are the voting members?
All but the finance director and the engineer, is that correct?
Okay. And the engineer, as a member of the commission, I assume they're going to be charging their time.
More than likely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't
All right.
expect them to do that.
Well, I'm fine with doing a 5 voting body of the township supervisor, a township board member, and the 3 residents, with the other 2 serving as advisory positions on it.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong too, Derek, if we need to get somebody from H&H or wherever, it doesn't matter where, but we obviously can do that. I mean, if we have,
Absolutely.
well, if we have we get consultants all the time.
Absolutely.
We need a legal review or a legal issue looked at. We go to Kristen. We just got it from Brandon a half hour ago. So anything that we have, correct? I mean,
Correct.
we can build. It's not like we're going into this and going to make the decisions without experts telling us, because
All going to come
please,
back to the
yeah, no
board
offense, the
anyway.
township board just oversees what's occurring. I mean, it's not that, we have, it's nice to have the quality of people that we have, but sometimes when we're looking at different issues within the township, we're not the experts.
I've got a slightly different view than that, Joe.
Okay.
It's, the closest thing I can come up with would be, for example, product liability, okay? What you're doing there when you're trying to administrate risk there is you make sure you have the right quality of ingredients on whatever the product is. That when they've been purchased, they've been tested to be sure that they're good for the purpose that they're applied to, that they have been processed properly, and that has been recorded and documented. So that if one of those products fails, you have a documented record that proves that you have been a capable and straightforward, good steward to that product. And I'm saying that we need something akin to that in our review of that bridge to make sure it's solid all the time, or that if it isn't, we're working on it in a qualified way.
I don't know if it makes you feel better about it, but anything they do will come back to us for a vote.
Yeah. Well, also, Bill, I think you're talking more in private industry too, and in public or municipalities, this is how city councils and boards work. I mean, not to say that I don't disagree with you at all, but we're going to get the best people in the right position to make the decisions for us.
And I'm talking there about how they function with this bridge, I guess, Joe.
So how do we, just to go with your point, Bill, how do we make a bridge engineer join this commission?
If it works for a fee, you do a request for a bid. And
Well,
then
I hope
interview.
let's do this. I hope to get a bridge engineer on this commission, and that might make you feel better. If not, we can talk
I'd be
about
a happy little clam if that
Well,
were the case.
then you might be, but that is my plan. And I think you know what I'm talking about, so, okay.
I don't know, this is the point I was bringing up earlier, and I think it was Kevin brought up the voting members of the board of the commission. I would like to see the township finance director and the township's contracted civil engineer not be voting members. I would like it to be a 5-member board, not because I really like 5-member not a 5-member board, a 5-member voting body,
yeah.
right? Because I just don't want to see township employees getting wrapped up in any kind of political nonsense, right? I think that would be bad for them, bad for the reputation of the township. So let's let the politicians take the political heat and let the township employees be the good guys.
I have no problem
Good point,
with that.
Jameson.
Just delete them out of here then, because they can always attend the meeting, right?
I don't
So
think
you
I
Well,
can
do
take
I
the
know,
stuff right
I don't
out.
want to delete them out.
Yeah, I want them to
I
attend.
want to delete them out.
Well, no,
Exactly.
but it's like, I'm on the fire commission and, the chief will attend.
Yeah, but
But he doesn't have
you don't
to.
have to. The chief will attend. I want these people to attend. I want them to attend. It's a must. It's not a, yeah, this is not to say it's not a negotiation, but it's a notification that if you're put on this board and you work for Groseal Township, you're gonna be there. I mean, that's what happens with your job, and that's how important it is.
I'd like to back up that remark that Joe made about, Jameson rather, with the 5 people voting and that civil engineer and the other person not voting. Just by chance, I happened to have a very nice conversation years ago with Corneffel. And I asked him if he would become involved, and he said no. I'd like to make a bid on one of those things, and if I were to try to do that and had done this other, there'd be a conflict of interest that could be alleged. And so the idea of avoiding that conflict of interest by taking a vote away, I think has some merit.
Okay.
The 5, and I'm supporting Jameson's idea of 5 votes, but 7 people, and those other 2 are like the Supreme Court, but not in a legislative process.
All right. Anybody else? I've got a couple things, but
Just real quick, I'm going to the offices of the commission. We're gonna have a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. And I know in most commissions, like the one, I'll just use the one I'm on as an example, the trustees liaison, so he can't be the chair or the vice chair or the secretary, which is fine. So on this commission here, we're gonna have basically 3 citizens from our island on here. So are they gonna fill those positions? Or are you gonna allow one of the board members, such as yourself or whoever the trustee may be, to sit in one of those seats? Or does it matter?
I'm not sure it matters, but we can look at that. That's a good question.
I think 67-1 says board members cannot serve as officers on commissions.
So with that said, then, as we have it written right now, whatever 3 people we bring from the public are gonna be fill those spots.
And we would need to probably modify the body of the base of 67.
Or of this.
Yeah, I guess
can we
specific
modify-
outweighs vague.
Yeah, can we modify this then too, Jameson?
Sure.
I mean, we can modify this, so, also, Mark, I understand
Yes.
your point.
Okay.
We can look at that and modify it again. This is just a draft, we can make any changes. Let me, hold on, I'm just gonna take a quick note here.
You could make the board member the chair and the township supervisor the vice chair if you're not feeling like supervising more meetings.
I don't care what, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, but. All right. Yep, all right, we're gonna look at that, okay, and we'll come back. I'm getting all these notes down.
Okay.
and-
Good point, Mark.
Yeah, that was a very good point. Okay, I'm sorry, Mark, were you,
Yeah, I'm all set, done
Else?
for now,
Okay.
all set for now, yeah.
when you guys read this, tell me if I read it, I may have read it differently, but the DPS, how they run the sewer treatment plant, Derek works hand in hand with the chair and the commission, and Derek is very involved because he's the DPS director. Now, being the DPS director and having the bridge at one of our biggest issues, I'm gonna say, I'm not sure, if more money is going through that bridge than anything else, but the DPS so far has the most money running through it. Nowhere in here does it say work with township manager, the commission. I think that the township manager should be involved. What do you guys feel? He's done an excellent job in, I'm gonna say overseeing, because he does oversee from the gentleman that runs the plant from, the staffing company that we have, contacts Derek with every major issue. And I think that in here, do you guys think that it should at least state, work with the township manager? Because I didn't see it unless somebody read it. I went through it a couple times and it doesn't appear. It's not that Derek is not involved in it, but he's the one that's been involved in it from day one. And him and Kristen, and this is just how it works here, have done more work with the bridge and have more knowledge of the mechanisms and the internal issues of the bridge in the finance end and the loan end and even the working end now. And then obviously we met with all the workers and Paul Smoke. So
Do you have anything in the DPS charter? that we could copy, or?
I'll have to look at the DPS ordinance and see what it specifically says about the interaction with the DPS manager, and we could make some suggestions for that. I will tell you that most commissions, their success is tied directly, in my opinion anyways, to administrative support. So I think commissions do have to have administrative support, employees that work with the various commissions to put packets together to carry out activities. The fact that the finance director is on it, as well as the engineer, that will help with that. But I do think in some format there has to be some sort of administrative assistance with this.
Derek, does your duty description and statutory powers as the township manager already kind of imply that you're? Because I don't know that the DPS commission ordinance specifically states they work with you. You know what I mean?
I'll have to review it to see if it specifically states that or not.
Well, one thing that I looked at, and I tried to place it somewhere in the paragraph, and what if it just said that, the commission shall be charged with working with the township manager, along with reviewing the operation of the toll bridge? Just those 4 or 5 words in that, what is it, second sentence, right after 67, intent and purpose, that the commission shall be charged with working with the township manager, because they should be. They should be working with Derek. And that's why the sewer treatment plant has been running so well. I mean, that is the format, and he's right in the middle.
Joe, I think that makes sense. I support that. That makes sense.
Okay.
It seems redundant to me, but if it makes you guys,
Well, if we're just throwing it in so you know it's there, I want to make sure that he is not discluded, but included in everything.
what if
Normally, you
what
put
if
it in,
we?
you'll say for what reason,
Yeah, what if?
as authorities, yeah, I mean, usually you just put more in there,
Do
right?
you guys feel comfortable with just adding him, that the commission should work with him also?
That would
With one of
preclude you from having them play or work with anyone else.
Okay.
So if you
I-
did want to hire a bridge manager, you would have to modify the ordinance.
Right.
I'd like to add something to that.
Okay.
I'm in favor of that concept, and I'd like to see it in writing for a simple reason. If something is implied because we think it's there because of the language, it's not as strong as if you basically come out and say something about it that makes it a little bit more absolute. And if it's ever needed to be defended, that fact that we are adhering to what we said we're going to do has some strength and meaning to it.
Yeah, I mean, it won't hurt, but it's not putting in any specifics in them, but if you guys want it in, I don't think it's gonna do any harm.
Well, I think it would be the correct process. I think we're already doing it with the sewer treatment plant. Why wouldn't we do it with the bridge when those two things would be our biggest, I don't want to use the word entity, that's the wrong word, but,
I think you do want Derek to play a role in it, it's just how it's worded, that's all.
all I want then is the commission shall be charged with working with the township manager and reviewing the operation, or how we're in there. And I'll come back and we'll bring it back to
How
you.
about liaise with the township manager instead of working? Working with doesn't feel like.
Okay, whatever, yeah, we'll throw whatever you like. Whatever makes you happy. I just want him to be a part of it.
Okay.
Okay, are we
Fair
all good
enough.
with that? I don't want to
I concede.
beat a dead horse here. Are we good with that? Okay, is there anything else? Because we got a few things we want to look into. Mark, you brought up a good point there. So I got a few things in my notes here we're going to look into, me and Derek, and then we'll get back with you. Is that fair? Everybody
Yes.
good?
I have one more thing.
Go ahead, sir.
Is there some amount of money we want this commission to be able to spend before it comes to the township board? Or is there this commission can execute its budget up to this amount of money before coming to, because I think it's $10,000 for $5,000 for all departments.
Would it fall just under our township policies and procedures? Because it is a certain amount right now.
Yeah, I
in
wonder
every
if maybe
department.
they need
We
a.
approve their budget,
Or,
right?
or
Yeah.
I guess maybe once we get into a little bit, we figure out they spend $5,000 3 times a month, and we need to modify it then.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
I think that with a bridge, that if we're using a $10,000 threshold here with the other departments,
It's,
I just think the costs on a bridge and the need to get something fixed fast waiting because we need 26,000 and we're doing it for 16. I'm a little ill at ease with that.
There are some provisions in our policies and procedures that do allow for emergency purchases or repairs that can, eliminate the requirement to.
That's what I needed to
Yeah,
hear.
the township manager has the ability to
That
get
will be in
emergency-
writing in there some way?
Well, it's in our policies and
Policies and
procedures, so
procedures.
I think it's the township manager will consult with the supervisor and the treasurer for
Yeah.
expenditures that are emergency of nature, and then eventually they come back to the board for certification following the expenditure.
Thank you for that.
And we would let you know, Bill, obviously right away, if we had some major issue at noon, you guys would know about it by email, at least by 12:15. I mean, that would be a for sure. So, okay, are we good? Everybody good so far? Now, we'll come back. Derek and I will work on this. We'll come back with a second draft, if you will. I don't know if Kristen needs to see it, but we'll ask her. Any changes that we make, and we'll see if we can get it so everybody's happy with what we got. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, very good. All right, it is 7:08. We can just close the study session at 7:08. We don't need a vote for that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. 7:08, we'll start, convene a regular meeting. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? None? Okay, then I'll need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So
Motion.
move.
Somebody second?
I'll
Sure.
second.
What? All right, all in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay, motion carried. That will be approve the agenda. No presentations tonight. And next will be, if anybody have public comment, you got 3 minutes on anything. Kathy, come on up.
Hello, Kathy Walker, 26051 Thorpe Court. I didn't make the last meeting. I was sorry that I missed it, and I heard some wonderful news, and congratulations to the board for bringing back the Communication Commission. It's needed, and it'll be a great asset for the township. I'm so glad you did that,
It's not back yet. We're in the middle of it. You know that, right?
but I understand.
Okay.
But the first step was
Right.
bringing it here.
We're going through the process to create it. And then,
It's hard.
Legal review, and then it'll be
Yeah.
here.
And then once you get going and all that, there's a lot of work, but I'm so glad, because I think that the public really, I know they appreciated it, especially the seniors, because they do read this stuff, they do watch it. You put a ball out with a bunch of kids playing with it, and they'll watch for an hour. I mean, you can see how many people watch it, so, but you also can inform them, and it's a nice way of doing it. Plus, I really like what you've been doing, Joe, just
Thank
to
you.
give you a little plug. But thank you again for bringing it in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? Yeah, remember, it's anything, the public comment now, not just on the agenda. You good? All right, very good then. Brian, let you know, is there anything from you? Okay, so nothing by email. Okay. Kevin, do you want to start the consent agenda?
The recommendation, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda 24-088, which consists of the following: 1, minutes of the February 10th, 2025 regular meeting, and 2, check register dated through February 21st, 2025. And I forgot the,
We got to get a set, all right.
Get a second.
Get a second.
Second?
Margaret seconded. Okay, that's fine. You went through it. Okay, we'll do it this way. All in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Motion carried to approve the consent agenda 24-088. Okay, let me pull up the first action item. Yeah, I got it here. I just have to. Okay, action item number 1, approval to distribute Toll Bridge Engineering RFP. Groseal Township Board hereby authorizes the distribution of the attached Groseal Toll Bridge Engineering RFP.
Second.
The history, this action item would approve the distribution of the attached RFP for engineering services for the Groseal Toll Bridge. The project, as previously discussed, requested our proposals for necessary inspections, bidding, permitting, contracting, and project management for the various upgrades and repairs to the Groseal Toll Bridge. Funding for this engineering had already been bonded. Once proposals are received, review and interviews of the applicants by the Township Board of the proposals will be the next step. And I take it that everyone has seen the version of the RFP. Is there any questions for Derek or myself on this? With no questions, for approval to distribute, action item number 1, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 2. Kevin, you're set.
I make a motion that, based upon a recommendation from the Groseal Township Department of Public Services Commission.
Does he have the speaker?
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you. I make a motion that, based upon a recommendation from the Groseal Township Department of Public Services Commission, the Groseal Township Board award a contract to Gullet Sanitation Services for the decanting and hauling of sludge from the Groseal wastewater treatment plant for the calendar year of 2025. And would you like me to read the history?
Sure.
You have
Groseal
to get a
Town-
second.
Yeah, we got it.
Second.
Got to get a second. Who's
I'll second it.
Jameson second?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
The history, purpose, and explanation. The Groseal Township wastewater treatment plant stores biosolids which must be removed. The activity occurs once or twice every 12 months due to the storage capacity that exists at the plant. The current proposal is for removal on 2 separate dates during the 2025 calendar year. Biosolids must first be decanted via centrifuge or a belt press system. Once the biosolids have been decanted, they are mixed with a polymer material, put in special containers, and transported to a landfill. Some wastewater treatment plants have on-site systems that handle this process. Groseal Township hires a company to mobilize with equipment on-site annually to perform these activities. This would be implemented March 1st of 2025. Derek, would you like to make any comments?
The total cost is $217,995 across the 2 events. This is a 1-year contract. This was competitively bid. I believe we received 2 bids. Gullet was a low bidder. They've also been the provider of these services at the plant for probably the past 3 or 4 years, and they've handled it with quite a level of success. So we were happy with the services they've provided in the past and should be happy with the services provided in the future. So this majority of this cost will be in the next fiscal year and will be budgeted appropriately in our 2025-2026 fiscal year budget.
Derek, I'd like to ask a question. It's sort of related, but it's a bit to the side. As I was listening and looking at this document and reading it, traditionally, has there been just one time in the year when it was all picked up and taken away? And now we're doing it too because of the bridge issues with, if it's going over our bridge, or is it something different? If I missed.
No, the plant has capacity for about 11 and a half months of biosolids. Last year, we got really, really close to full capacity, and we were a bit concerned that we were going to exceed the capacity, which would be a violation of some of our permits. And we don't want to run that, that close to capacity any longer. We're kind of playing with fire there. So in consulting with the plant operator, we both agreed that, doing it twice a year rather than run that potential risk of overflow with just the 1 year event. So that's why it's being recommended to go with 2. There is some additional cost, obviously, with the mobilization twice rather than the single time. But we're just concerned about, the additional issues that not having capacity if we were full would present for us. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, no further questions. Action item number 2, sludge hauling contract. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Purchase of the, I'm sorry, the pronunciation, Amiad filter? Amiad, I'm sorry, Amiad. Kevin, do you have that?
I do.
All right, sir.
I make a motion that, based upon a recommendation from the wastewater treatment plant operator and the DPS commission, the Township Board hereby approves the purchase of an Amiad self-cleaning filter at a cost of $19,075.
So moved.
The history is the existing unit had developed a series of small pinhole leaks. This unit is the screening final effluent water pressure system filter. This system is set to be replaced in this year's WWTW capital work, but was pushed to 25-26 due to the bids for the lime slurry pumps coming in above estimates. In order to be ready as soon as possible to conduct the repair, the operator would like to order the replacement unit as shipping lead times are 16 to 18 weeks for the replacement of equipment. In the interim, a patch will be welded to limp the existing unit along until the replacement unit arrives. The labor component to this work will be competitively bid as we are awaiting the replacement unit. The replacement unit is like for like, so it can only come from one supplier. Installation costs will be budgeted in the next fiscal year. Derek, any comments?
Just to expound on that, what this is a filter that takes effluent water, so that's water that's leaving the plant, so it's treated water, and then it filters it and sends it through the plant to be used for other processes. So essentially we're recycling the effluent water to be used in the plant, but it just needs to have particulate filters that remove any sediment out of it for the uses it has within the plant. So I think the existing unit's like 15 or 18 years old, so we've gotten plenty of life out of it.
Thank you, Derek. Any questions for Derek? No questions? Okay. Action item number 4. I'm sorry, action item number 3. I'm jumping ahead. Action item number 3, purchase Amiad filter. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, here we go.
I make a motion that, based upon a recommendation from the Groseal Department of Public Services Commission, the Groseal Township Board hereby approves an award of a contract to low bidder Baird and Lawler Building Company for the replacement of the roof at the pump house located on Bridge Road. The history, the existing roof on...
Oh, we got to get a second.
Whoop,
Sorry,
second, yes, please.
we got it. Go ahead.
The history is the existing roof on this building has failed and is in need of replacement. The roof is currently tarped to keep water from coming inside. The project was publicly billed and Laird and Lawler was the low bidder. The building is utilized for storage and has value based on its future potential as a service building. This is to be scheduled in this spring of 2025. The budgeted under building maintenance.
Okay.
Any comments, Derek?
I have a question. So looking at these bids, the base bid, Baird and Lowler came in the lowest, but has the highest square footage cost. And then the highest bidder, TriStar Roofing, came in the highest, but has the lowest square footage cost. Is that just them taking a swag at the size of the roof, or?
I don't think they're both in square feet. Is that correct?
The alternate is your deck replacement, your, so if there's rotted wood underneath the roof, that's your
okay.
replacement cost per square foot for
Okay.
deck.
If they pull the covering off and they find it's bad.
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
I see. Thank you.
Any other questions by the board?
I did. I actually had one. I was curious. So you've got two companies that are specific to roofing, and then you've got Baird and Lowler that are, it's a building company, which I'm sure they know how to put a roof on, but they're not, roof specific. I was just curious about, do we always just go with the lowest bidder, or do we ever look at, expertise as well? Not that they're not good at putting a roof on. I'm just asking the question.
No, it's the township board's discretion to choose whatever bid award that they feel is in the best interest of the township. We generally, in all of our bid documentation, state that you reserve that right to do so. So to your point, yes, things can be taken into consideration, like past performance, expertise, things of that sort when you're awarding a bid. So you do not have to award it to the lowest bidder. You can go with an alternative selection.
But that's who DPS is recommending.
Yeah, they didn't see any issue with their capabilities or the work that they do. So that was their recommendation.
And Margaret, just so you know, there is times that we haven't taken the low bidder because of those reasons. But in this issue, obviously, I know Baird and Lowler, they do excellent work, and they do subcontract the roofs out when they build homes. Maybe they have their own crew that does them, but whichever they do, they never had any issues. So it always helps when the low bidder is somebody that's done work for you. And then you have something to at least compare it to. So that's a good thing in this one. All right, any other questions? Okay, no questions. Action item number 4, pump house roof. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, action item number 5, I think, Kevin, you have that again.
I make a motion that, based upon a recommendation by the Grosse-Ile Public Service Commission, the Grosse-Ile Township Board hereby approves the purchase of odor control equipment from Precision Odor Control to be installed in the wastewater treatment plant primary clarifier room at a cost total of $13,943.
Second?
And the history following the installation of the new HVAC system at the wastewater treatment plant for the township. The township started receiving complaints from neighboring properties bordering the plant. The township, with assistance from the wastewater treatment staff, determined the cause to be the exhaust fan that was brought online in the primary clarifier room. This fan had existed for multiple years, but never was operable. It now is and is exhausting to the outside, resulting in these complaints. When presented with the issue, the wastewater treatment plant staff reviewed options. The options would be to have engineering design an air scrubber that would filter the exhaust air. This would be a very costly option. A second option was received, the one being presented tonight, which is to populate the atmosphere of the room with a product that binds the hydrogen sulfide gas, neutralizing it and thus reducing the odor and corrosive nature of the gas. The township has trialed the product over the past 2 months, and it appears to be working. The township and the wastewater treatment operators would like to make this install permanent, and thus the action item. The financial impact will be $16,078, less the $2,135 already paid to trial the product, making the total product cost $13,943. And comments, Derek?
The township tries to be a good resident to neighboring properties to the plant. When we receive these complaints, as Kevin had mentioned in the action item, we reviewed a variety of different options to try to address those conditions. We eventually may have to design an air scrubber and install one, but this option was presented to us, and we've trialed it over the past couple of months, and it appears to be working. So, we'd like to continue with this application to try to work with this low-cost solution to these problems we're experiencing over there. There is a cost to the product, the material. It's a liquid material that will be an annual expense, so we'll build that into the operational budget of the wastewater treatment plant. But not just wanting to take this vendor's word for it. We've trialed it over the past couple of months, and it appears to be working. I think there were a number of members of the board that toured the plant over the past month or two to take a look at the facility, and we kind of showed them, that material or that application, and maybe you guys can speak for what you noticed, but you could definitely tell there was a change in the odor. It wasn't as actually, as prevalent, the sewage odor. It seemed like the product does work, and, hopefully will continue to work for us.
It did seem like it was working. I was one of the members that actually went through there. I think it's something it's well needed. I want to make sure everybody's clear. It's not going to eliminate it completely, not totally eliminate. So you might get an order from time to time. Just to put that out there, so when people start calling the township and saying what we just bought isn't working, but it does subdue the smell quite a bit. It was an interesting tour, I'll be quite honest with you, but it seems to be working. That particular product that you guys had in place, and you showed me how it was working, it seems to be doing the job.
Has anybody talked to the Wyandotte wastewater treatment plant about this?
No, they can't get close enough to it. I'd just like to say, I went to the DPS meeting, and Derek was there, and they were talking about this. And look, here's the deal. We've got to be good neighbors to people, and that's the price of doing business. Why I was really in favor of this. And plus what they said, they contacted the individuals who made the complaints after the trial period, and they couldn't smell anything. Not to say it won't happen like Derek stated, but, it's our responsibility to be good neighbors, especially, and I mean, you guys get it, especially if you live near that plant. We have to do everything we possibly can to make sure certain things don't encroach in your house or in your life. And that's why I shouldn't say whatever it costs to handle it, but I'm in favor of anything we can do to make things better for those people, and that's our job. So, anything else? Okay, nothing else. Action item number 5, odor control equipment. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Number 6, concrete contract.
I make a motion that, based upon a recommendation from the Groseal Township Engineers and the Groseal Township Department of Public Service Commission, that the Groseal Township Board approve a contract with low bidder Dominic Gaglio Construction at a cost of $495,877. Furthermore, the Township Board recommends the authorization of a contingency of up to 25% to expand the contract as permitted by the availability of funds at the unit price established in the bid.
Second.
Thank you. The history, 8 bids were received for the Township's 2025 concrete project. Gaglio Construction was the low bidder. Because bids for concrete and asphalt came in lower than anticipated, the authorization to add additional work is being requested in the action item. The work would start following the opening of the Groseal Free Bridge in the summer of 2025, and financially it is budgeted road bond funds and millage. Derek?
Good explanation. Basically, this is our concrete program for summer of 2025. The DPS Commission would like to get back into the neighborhoods and pick back up where we left off last summer with the concrete work. As I think we discussed at the DPS Commission, the county doesn't normally get into residential neighborhoods, so we wanted to prioritize that with our 2 projects that are before you this evening. We're trying to spread out the millage dollars throughout the community. So you'll see a variety of different work occurring throughout the community with this allocation of funds, concrete work that is. That's all I have.
Derek, in the scope of this project, because I assume you're talking about roads like Manchester and whatnot, where we've got cement roads that need repair, is there any provision for particularly bad sidewalks or anything? Or is it just the road work?
Just the roads.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I ask who did this work, like the last round of road work?
GV Cement was the last bidder, or was
Okay.
the last contractor.
Okay, so we're using somebody else this time. then?
Correct.
Okay.
Their references have been checked by Rains. So what you'll see on any project that Rains is involved in, they'll give you a cover sheet like is on the second page of this action item, which is page 102 of the packet. And they'll be making a recommendation for a contractor. And what that recommendation comes with is a review by Rains of all the unit prices, a review of all the references for the contractor, and the recommendation is a recommendation considering all those things. So, and in this case, they're recommending Dominic Gaglio. They've had various projects with them in the past with other communities, and they have good references and they do good work according to Rains.
So do they project manage? I'm sorry. Do they project manage them, or do they go back? So let's say when Gaglio is done, do they come back and they review what's been done and,
So they do, but also they have on-site inspection throughout the project. So out of the DPS roads account will come funding for engineers to do oversight of the project. So they review all the quantities for the billings that we receive. They make recommendations for payment based upon their review of what's being billed. They do sampling of the concrete to make sure it's what we're paying for, and that it makes certain breaks throughout the project so that they allow for the road to be opened at the right point in time. So there is constant and consistent oversight by the engineering company throughout the project.
And did Rains handle that the last go around as well, or?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Yep.
I got, just real quick, Derek. I'm looking at the range of these different bids and proposals, and Dominic Gaglio, obviously, just under $500,000, and we have another contractor who's over $1 million. Does this have any kind of bearing on the materials and stuff they're using, or is this maybe the high bidder just didn't want to do the job type thing, or what? The materials are all spec'd out,
Right.
correct?
All
It's gonna be
the
same.
materials are the same throughout the bidders, so they all bid on the exact same thing. It could be a variety of different factors with the contractors. Could be they're not as hungry, they are maybe doing work in the area, so they have less cost of mobilization, maybe they're doing work on Groseal already. It could be a variety of different factors as far as the spread is concerned. You have a lot of bidders here, and they're all lumped pretty close with the exception of the outlier, which is, project
Okay.
number 8. So
I just want to make sure that was
bidder
not kind of a reflection at all on the type of material they're going to be using or putting down.
number 8. Yeah, no, it's not. They're all bidding the same
Okay.
product. Yep.
All right, any other questions? With none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Okay, I think, Kevin, unfortunately, I think you're again.
I think this is the,
Can I just say, before you start this one, I'm going to recuse myself from this one. One of them is a client. Okay.
Or, wait a second. Oh, I lost
For
it.
that,
the Elba Island.
You talking about-
yes.
My mistake, Mickey. Okay, I thought you meant the other one. when you asked me. I'm sorry, I thought it was the other one.
Nope, the Elba Island.
Yeah, that's
so-
it, that's fine.
Yeah,
Very good.
okay.
This is I make a motion that, based upon a recommendation from the Grosse Ile Township Engineers and the Grosse Ile Island Department of Public Service Commission, the Grosse Ile Township Board hereby approves a contract with low bidder Al's Asphalt at a cost of $326,475. Furthermore, the Township Board authorizes a contingency of up to 25% to expand the contract as permitted by the available funds at the unit prices established in the bid.
Second.
The history of the proposal: 4 bids were received for the resurfacing of Elba Drive. Al's was the low bidder. Because bids for both concrete and asphalt came in lower than anticipated, the authorization to add additional work is being requested in the action item. Work would commence following the opening of the Grosse Ile Free Bridge in the summer of 2025. This is budgeted through road bond funds and millage.
All right, any questions for, I guess Derek would have the,
I just want to clarify one point. This work is the stretch of Elba from basically the bridge, south side of the bridge, up to the private drive, which is the 2 white pillars there. So it does not include the private portion of the road.
where the gates are.
Where the gates are. If those residents in that area want to repave that, that would be at their cost, because essentially it acts as like a driveway. We wouldn't participate in paying for anybody's private driveway. We only pay for costs associated with a public road. So it just includes the public portion of Elba.
All right, thank you, Derek. Any questions? Okay, with none, action item number 7, Elba Drive resurfacing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I'll take number 8. Let me pull it up real quick. Grosse Ile Township Board hereby authorizes the expenditure of $26,350 plus freight with charges with PSX Incorporated for the purposes of purchasing 1,000 bridge passes. Furthermore, the Grosse Ile Township Board authorizes the Township Supervisor to execute the attached Grosse Ile Bridge Company Grosse Ile Township Bridge Pass Agreement pending finalization by legal counsel.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The Grosse Ile Bridge Company has a limited supply of bridge passes, less than 100 left. Generally, prior to the closure of the Free Bridge, the bridge office receives numerous requests for passes. Forecasting this demand and lack of supply to manage it, it would be pertinent to have the supply of passes on hand to satisfy the need. Transfer of ownership provides complications on how to address the purchase of passes. In order to satisfy this need and address the need for distribution prior to March 31st, 2025, legal formulated, who is Kristen, the attached agreement between the Township and Grosse Ile Bridge Company. Essentially, the Township will purchase the passes. Grosse Ile Bridge Company will purchase from the Township any distributed prior to March 31st, 2025. So one thing that I will say in the history, I was just advised when it says less than 100, Derek, and maybe they just told me there's only a few left. Now they're out. Okay, last time I talked last week. So this is imperative to make a smooth transition from people getting the bridge passes, to make traffic better, make it easier. We're going to purchase them up front. And I forget what the gentleman from PSX said the time is on the delivery, but there is a choice, and this is our choice we're making. We're trying to make it better for the people, because everyone that has a bridge pass is going to get through there easier than having to pay, which means the guy behind you or the lady behind you is going to have it quicker. So we're doing this all for the people, and that's where we're at. But I'm sorry, I did talk to them last week. They said only a few left, but apparently now there are none left. So anything?
I have a
Yeah, I got a
question.
couple.
So they're $26.35 piece price for that 1,000 to 1,500, right? So right now, is he charging people $25? Right, so are we gonna adjust that so that we're not, yes, okay. I just wanted to double check. I figured that, but I just wanted to ask.
Any other questions on this?
Yeah, I
ahead,
have
Bill.
a question, yes. It seems to me that if you look at the total number of people who live on this island that could benefit from a bridge pass, who normally go on the county bridge, there would be a demand if they took advantage of the savings and would move faster of more than 1,000 people who would benefit. I'm wondering how long, if the 1,000 sells out, how long does it take to get a fresh supply of another 1,000?
Well, the deal with the 1,000 is that a lot of people have got it from the last closure. So we're estimating, we talked to Paul when we met with him and Maureen, how many rather do you think would be a good option? Because they have thousands of people already with passes out there. And
Got it.
and what we're
From
doing
the previous closure, those people bought
yes, so
them.
most of them got it. So that's what we're doing, but we're still trying to make it the best way we can make it for the traffic problem that we're gonna have and the easiest flow. So, it's a good question, though. Are we all set on that? Any other questions? With that, action item number 8, purchase of bridge passes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. All right, next, Brian, is there a problem if I change? I'm gonna have the clerk and the treasurer give their report. Can it's really not a discussion item. I've changed it a little bit. Can I do it after?
Yeah, that's fine. No problem.
They're done, so. Okay, and the clerk's report then. Let me grab this real quick.
This is my filibuster. The Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee met last Thursday. We discussed a lot of things. So currently, BPAC has a budget. I shouldn't say a budget. Has a account with about $430,000 in it. About $100,000 comes in a year from the bicycle maintenance the bike path maintenance millage. So we're going to start spending some of that money to try to maintain the entirety of our trail system. Using $500,000 would be like a bridge way too far. So we think a good way of spending that money is to do a request for proposals for wayfinding signage and traffic control devices. So get some signs made and whatnot to direct people around Grosse Ile. And you may see some of them already that are part of the Bellevue Connector project. I think there's one at the corner of Macomb and Meridian, and another one at the corner of West and the Grosse Ile Parkway Connector Road. So with that, though, we want to eventually work with DDA and Open Space in order to create one combined sign theme for Grosse Ile, right? So if we're going to have a sign that says, hey, the open space is this way, we don't want you to get halfway to the open space and see a totally different looking sign. So that's something we're working on. It's in the future. I've got an update on paving of the Bellevue Connector, which runs from, and I always mess this up, it goes from Meridian to West River and then West River to the Grosse Ile Parkway, with a chunk missing around the 9th hole. That construction, they're trying to target this summer. Now, when they say that, though, what they're talking about is the entire project. And the entire project runs the whole downriver area and all the way up towards Detroit. So our section of it may not necessarily be summer 2025, right? We'll likely be at the beginning or the end of it, though, because we are effectively like a deadhead portion of the project. So we'll either be early in 2025 or towards the tail end of the effort, which could creep all the way into 2026. So, and as soon as I know more about that, I'll let the board and the community know. The rec department met on the 6th. I already discussed the basket thing, which I just think is cool. I'll probably bring it up every month when I find out how many baskets have gone out. It's pretty unique. There's not too many communities where you get a welcome basket from your local government. So most of them, I think, just send you a tax bill. The budget meeting for the community recreation community community Recreation Committee is tomorrow. It's not a public meeting. It's just a local working session to come up with some of the budget points for the CRC moving forward. Unfortunately, I have a work obligation, so I won't be at that meeting, but I've given Chad and Zaid some of my my guidance and intent. I would like to see, especially with the Bellevue connector going in and the improvements we've made at Water's Edge, I would like to see some marina spending. We'll see if we can actually squeeze that out of the funds that are available and figure out how to do it. But I think it would be nice to begin to move our marina in the right direction. I don't know when the last time it had a refresh. I think it's been a long time. So,
Yes, it has.
and then the other thing I brought up, which I think is we have some untapped potential, a little bit downriver from the marina, still in marina property. There's no docks, there's no wharf there, but there is a bunch of seawall. And that could potentially be like day dockage, right? So if we put up some boards to protect boats from the seawall, maybe some signs, people could come in there and they could go get a beer at Tipsy Fish or a burger. Maybe, some of the bigger boats, they might come in and play a whole round of golf, right? So that's kind of something we're investigating as well. I know there's some feasibility concerns with water depth and things like that, but that's in the works too. So, and that completes my report.
Perfect timing. Go ahead, sir.
Treasurer's report. Groseal winter property taxes were due February 14th. A 3% penalty was added to any unpaid winter amounts which are still payable here at the township until this Friday, February 28th. After that date, after the 28th, all unpaid summer and winter taxes are considered delinquent and must be paid to Wayne County with further penalty and interest. To date, we have collected 96% of the 2024 winter tax roll. Distributions to the school and county have been made in a timely manner. I would like to add thank you to everyone who has paid their taxes for funding your local government. Thank you for paying your taxes. 2025 pet licenses are available. At the treasurer's office, pet tag license fee is now $12 for the remainder of 2025. Please be sure to provide proof of a current rabies certificate for your pet when applying for a pet license. And the budgeting process for 25-26 is currently underway, and we're going to pass a budget the end of March. Thank you,
Good, sir.
Supervisor.
All right. We changed the discussion item. Actually, this is going to be real quick. I apologize. I don't have all the information in. I thought I would. And what this was about is Derek and I met with the workers down at the toll bridge, and we also met with Mr. Smoke. And during our open meeting, there was a concern about the trucks that have gone over the toll bridge and just their fees. So what I've done, and I haven't gotten it back yet, but I have fees requested from other, and you can go on their websites, but it doesn't go up to the real heavy trucks. On some of the bridges from Michigan, I thought those were the easiest to compare to. And I don't want anybody to read into this, but from that meeting, all I'm going to tell you is that we're a municipality, and I'm not comfortable with the pricing of some of the vehicles that go over that bridge. That's all. I'm really going to get into that part of it. So, and again, I apologize. I don't have it all back, so this really isn't a discussion. It's more of a notification. I'm going to be looking into the pricing to make it obviously fair and equitable for all. There should be a ratio. Obviously, the heavier the truck, the more, if you will, damage that is done to a bridge. And that's what does the damage, is the weight, and that's why heavier trucks cost more. But I believe there should be a fee schedule that should be within the industry standards when you get into the heavier trucks. So I listened to what they had to say at that meeting too. We went down, we spoke with them, I got some information, and I think that the fee schedule for the vehicles, for the trucks, at this point, will be adjusted. So when I get that all back to you, I'll get it all out to you way before, obviously, the meeting we talk about it, or have to okay a fee schedule, but we're gonna okay a fee schedule for all vehicles, but I just wanna let you know that I actually thought I would have the information for you tonight, but it didn't work out that way. So, with that said, is there any, I can't really answer much because I didn't really give you much. I wanted to give you what I had, though, to let you know we're working on it, and we just saw some, shall we say, differences, if you will, in fees. And again, we're a municipality, we provide a service, we don't provide a product, and we need to be what this board feels is fair and equitable in anything we do. So, all right, well, thank you for that time on that one. The trustees report, Mickey, you are first.
I'll start with Greenways Open Space. So earlier I talked about Dr. Dimitri from the Detroit Zoological Society coming out here. So he did go to Meridian Woods, and he agrees that we will need some culverts to stop the flooding there, because we don't want to damage the wetlands there. So we'll be coming back on that later. He wants the schools and the community to become involved in a tri-county area thing, which is called the City Nature Challenge, where you take pictures of wild plants and animals and things. And not only is that a contest, but it helps them to kind of map our area out here. So he's going to send us more information on that. We've been talking about we need people to serve on our committees, and they asked me to say that we had an opening. But you know what? I got a note today that somebody applied for it, so that's good. They just wanted me to remind that dogs need to be on leashes and when they're walking, and to please pick up your trash on the trails. Their next meeting is March 4th. For the Fire Commission, so excuse me if I miss a name, but the Grosedale Fire Department personnel, you may have seen them on the news actually a couple of times. Fire Marshal Robert Roscoe and Sergeant Andrew Huber responded to a mutual aid call. If you saw that down in Wayne County when that water main broke. So that was kind of cool to see them on TV for that. That was part of our dive team. And then last Saturday at Sunrise Park, my husband screamed, "Come on in, we're on the TV again." And it was the Lucas Foundation Polar Plunge to bring awareness to suicide prevention for officers. And that's so important. And again, Fire Marshal Roscoe and firefighters Nicole Gall and Andrea, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but it's Gazaborski, all attended that event. I want to give a special shout out. I mentioned earlier the senior housing was having difficulty where sometimes they get to the end of their social security check and have a hard time buying groceries. So we teamed up with Kroger, Sacred Heart, and Fire Marshal Bob. And I'm going to go to Sacred Heart once a week to get food, and Bob's going to go to Kroger's once a week to get food, and then we can pitch in and buy like fresh fruit and stuff. So we did that last week. They put the food out. It was gone within a couple of hours. So it's just good to know, our seniors are being taken care of. Next Fire Commission meeting is March 13th. And then the last thing is the Nature Conservancy asked me to let you know. On March 1st, they're going to have a maple sugaring event at Hickory Island. I always use any excuse I can to go out to Hickory Island. So it'll be Saturday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. And then they are taking scholarship applications. So if you're a high school student, you should be applying for that, and your application is due April 7th. That's it.
Okay, thank you. William, you're next.
Thank you. The Airport Commission has been a bunch of busy people since last we spoke of them. We had a very full agenda at the last meeting. There was a look at the budget, rental renewals, the taxiways that are going to be repaired in the future, and an extensive project to keep things in ship shape, storage opportunities, a lot of different things were talked about, and I was impressed with how well it was being handled. One thing that was kind of nice, there was a young man there whose name is Dan Rickle. He's with Halls, the air pilot school. And they've got a program that is reaching out to the metro area of Detroit. It's in coordination with a facility at Detroit City Airport and also Willow Run. And the idea is that they're going to reach out to high school students and the community to get them involved in aviation and try to just stimulate a basic interest in aviation and aviation safety and proper procedures. I kind of enjoyed that. Today I went over to the SWRC meeting at Gary Hart spoke at Crystal Gardens. And the only reason I bring it up is that at our table I was sitting next to a couple from Grosse Ile, and he's starting a new business in the near future and had been considering possibly trying to get some space at the airport. So I said I'd put an effort in on his behalf and got in touch with Janelle and the contacts, but maybe we'll have another tenant there before this is all over. And it put a smile on my face. The Planning Commission is also very busy. The document that they have is complicated. You have to give it a lot of careful thought to achieve the goals you want, or to give a guideline that would last for a period of 20 years. My own feeling is that on occasion I become frustrated because I'm thinking, yes, they want this as we see it today to be something that will be clear as guidance into the future. But when we're all long gone, we don't know how they'll look at that string of words and interpret it. We just try to do the best we can with what we've got under the circumstance. But what I like most about it is that there's a division of opinion, and these people are sincere about their concerns. They document why they have the concerns that they do. But I also have the feeling that when all is said and done and it is all put to bed by the majority vote, the minority will accept in good favor and continue with respect for one another and work on other problems or concerns that are faced in the future. I think that's significant, and I'm very glad to be able to report that. That pretty well concludes it. I really did enjoy the meeting today. I met some people, and I think if you talk to them, you're going to learn some things. But what I'm doing is looking for contacts that might be of some value on future events we might have to address. If you get more opportunities to have solutions, you're in a better position that way. That pretty much concludes it.
Okay, Mark.
Hey, thank you. I said on the zoning board, I'm the liaison for the zoning board of appeals. We do not have anything scheduled for tomorrow's meeting or in March as of this point. We will be meeting together as a commission tomorrow. We have not met in the last few months. There have not been many appeals over the winter months. But tomorrow's meeting will be basically a training session. We are going to be bringing on some new people. Hopefully we'll get them all approved at the next board meeting. We'll hopefully have a full board then at the following meeting for the zoning board. So, but that's all we have going on right now at this moment.
Thank you, Mark. Margaret.
So I sit on the police commission, and I know this was mentioned, I believe Michelle mentioned this about fire, but I want to highlight the Downriver Mutual Aid Dive Team, and that is led by Deputy Chief Todd Brozick. I mentioned this during our police commission meeting, but I was so impressed with what this team did, I want to highlight it here as well. We're lucky to have these men and women in our police department, and we need to do everything we can to support and maintain the department. I'm sure most of you by now have heard about the water main break, 54-inch pipe. That occurred a week ago in Detroit, in southwest Detroit, 6 city blocks. And they had mutual aid from all over, but Deputy Chief Brozick leads that mutual aid team, and the team is made up of members of other downriver communities, but from Grosse Ile, it's obviously I mentioned Todd Brozick, but Fire Marshal Bob Roscoe, Sergeant Andrew Huber on the fire department. These three are from Grosse Ile, but there are other team members on that mutual aid team from other communities in downriver. The team performed search and rescue work to safely rescue residents, including their pets. If you saw any of the videos, it was pretty impressive what these men and women did. Freezing single-digit temperatures that day. It was garbage day, so you can imagine the mess that created and what they were wading through and dealing with. So I just wanted to mention it again, that these are things that I think are really important for residents to hear about and understand. And if you see any of these people, really they deserve a handshake and a thank you, because that dedication it impresses me. One more thing really quick. One of our police officers is going to be leaving the department, so you are going to be seeing a posting for a police officer very soon in the next few weeks. So while our command staff and myself are disappointed, we do wish him well, and you'll see that posting come out in a few weeks. And that was it for me.
All right, thank you, Margaret. Derek, your report?
Just really quickly, a number of the board members had already mentioned, we're in the budget process. We have meetings all week with the various departments and the treasurer and the supervisor, and I believe you're all invited to the various, departmental meetings for budgets that pertain to your liaison positions. So following those meetings, there will be study sessions, public study sessions, where we'll go through the various budgets so that the residents have an idea of what is being proposed, and then we'll have a meeting, a public hearing, in which the budget is presented once again following that study session, so the community can view where the tax dollars are going for the various entities and services that we provide. So look for that, but those will all be taking place obviously in the month of March, because the budget has to be approved by the end of the month. Thank you all for the support on the various DPS action items this evening. I apologize for the large group of them coming before you at a singular meeting. That's kind of the case a lot of times with construction projects. As we come up on the construction season, you see a lot of these approvals being solicited now, so we can get moving as soon as the weather breaks. So apologize for that, but thank you for the support. And also last, thank you for the good conversation that was had with regards to the toll bridge ordinance for that commission. I think that was a great conversation. We'll work on making those modifications and bring it before you for another review, hopefully in the month of March, with the interest of trying to get that adopted hopefully by April. So that's all I have this evening. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Derek. I have a few things on my report. Some of it was already covered. First off, Derek, thank you for going over all the budget meeting issues that we're having this week, and we're going to get through that. Margaret, thank you also about the police budget issues, and one of the gentlemen there will be resigning in a few weeks. This is one more thing we have to deal with the police department, and Derek has the ability, the board does not have to vote on, Derek can have them go out for applications for an eligibility list. We do the rest on the board and vote on it, but he has the ability through policy and procedures to let Doug know, then Doug, Commission, and Margaret can start that project. Also, Bill, I wanted to talk about the Planning Commission. I was asked, thank you for getting into that, Bill, in your report, but I was asked, in watching the meeting the other night, they were voting on separate issues, and the question that came to my office was, are we done? And the answer is no. They still have to go back, put it all together, and they told me, one of the gentlemen on the board said it's going to be a few more months at least, and don't they have to have a public meeting also on it when they get everything together? So the answer is no, it's not done. This one gentleman thought, do all those votes, and they voted in sections. I don't want to go so deep into explain, but it was sections of the master plan, and then they're going to put it all together, and as I stated, it's going to be a few months before this is done. Plus, they have to have a meeting. It has to be a public meeting or a hearing, whichever you like, and go from there. Also, I sit on the Downtown Development Authority, and their next meeting is this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. in this boardroom. One more issue that came to light is I know that some of you saw the news and the fire that was in California from their energy plant there. I just want to let you know, their battery plant, if you will, that was totally different than what is going on next door to us. That was one major building. It was an older one, and these are all separate pods, and each separate pod has fire suppression in it. Not to say it can't get outside, but they have told us with these new pods that they use, they've never had a fire outside of a pod or get outside of one of the pods. And you'll see right there at the end of Van Horn and Jefferson there, when you look down, all those black piping coming up is the fire suppression unit for each pod. So not to say it can't happen, but they wanted to ask me questions on, is it the same kind of situation that we're having here? It's not. The build is not the same. The suppression units aren't the same. And I did have a meeting with the Downriver fire chiefs and police chiefs, and the fire departments are training on this too, if anybody was asking that before too. I think this came up a meeting or two meetings prior to this one, and they do continue to train on what to do for that. So just so you know, it isn't the same situation, not to say it can't happen, but what they have done is they've used these pods to minimize their risk from learning in the past. This just happened to be an older battery plant under one roof, and that's how it got out of hand, and it's kind of sad. So
The batteries are different too, I think. So there's ion and iron, and the ion is more,
flammable,
combustible.
combustible. Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. And also, I still have not gotten their information. They're going to give a spec sheet of all the chemicals that are inside these pods, and if they do catch fire, what environmental issue do they have? Again, we know that most weather goes west to east, and we are east of the plant. So they will get with me. His name was Mike Banks, who's the project manager of this DTE build next door. And as soon as I get it, I will get it out to you. So that is my report for the night. Okay, anybody, public comment, anybody have anything? 3 minutes on any topic at all? I'm sorry, Kathy? Greg? I gave you a little too much last time. Let me make sure.
Yeah, take it off.
Well, no, I'm going to take it off. I just got to make sure that my.
You've got a time down, Greg.
Go ahead.
Glad to see the board moving forward with the Toll Bridge Commission. It's important to have this body to oversee.
Is your mic on? Green light?
Yeah, you always turn it off on me. Okay, Greg Carmison, 21228 East River Road. Again, I was glad to see the board moving forward with the Toll Bridge Commission. I think it's important to have an oversight body on this project. Obviously, during the Toll Bridge bond debate in the community, there was a lot of concern. Although there was a strong consensus in favor of it, certainly there were a lot of valid questions raised about it, and I was strongly in favor of it, of course, but I did agree with many of the concerns and questions that were being raised in the community, people that were opposed to it. So I think, we have to be mindful that there is an obligation to the entire community to report on what's going on and have a strong oversight. A couple of the things on the toll bridge issue. There was discussion tonight about the bridge passes. I fully agree that the more bridge passes are out in the community, the faster things move. But I would encourage you to also consider some type of advertising campaign along with the purchase of the bridge passes, because we know from past history that a lot of times people wait to the very last day or week, and it's, they have to process these applications, and it takes time. So the more that the township can do, the advertise and get that out in the community to encourage people to get those passes sooner rather than later, that is something I think you should consider. On the commission itself, there was discussion good discussion in the study session. I didn't catch all of it, but I did hear Treasurer Flavin and Clerk Yeager raising some questions about the membership of the commission and who should be on there. I tend to side with the idea that the commissions should be citizen oversight. I like the idea of having citizens on these bodies. They certainly should be supported by professional staff and experts, but I think the point of having commissions is to have true citizen oversight. Ultimately, you do have the township board as the final decision-making body, and there's a lot of input that the board will get from professionals as well, but I think it's really important to get that citizen oversight, and I hope that at least the majority of the commission are actually citizens from the community that aren't township employees or elected officials. Also, on the powers of the commission, I think it would be useful to have the commissions present an annual report about the expenses and revenues of the toll bridge enterprise. And I know that obviously in the language it's empowered to put a budget together, but I think in the budget process sometimes you don't have a full report of expenses and expenditures, revenues and expenditures discussed in a report format. And I think this body is really going to operate to some extent like a corporate board almost in oversight. And I think an annual report presented by that commission and then ratified or by the board would be helpful to have it in there. And finally, I just was interested in knowing if there was any update on the closure schedule for the Wayne County Parkway Bridge. And that's all. Thank you.
If you want to, whatever, I'll just answer a couple of your questions since we're here.
Okay.
First off, on the bridge passes, I was kind of surprised. I put it out there. I was told first they had approximately, a little bit less than 500, but the problem was, I'm not going to get too deep into this, that they weren't usable. So they had less than 50 that were usable. So when I put it out to the people, some did go get it. Unfortunately, then they ran out and Paul called me and said, what are you doing to me? I'm telling, well, you had 500. And he said, well, now I only have 50. Then we went down to 5. Now we go down to 0. So I kind of let it out too quick, but I wanted people to go down there to get them when I thought they did have 500. So this was one of the reasons, but again, that's why we have to get these. And I just think we've got to do everything we can for time, for inconvenience, for the people. That's our job. Again, it's a service, not a product. So that's kind of my fault. I sent them all down there and there wasn't any left, unbeknownst to me, and that's when we had to figure out we got to get them now.
Caveat on that. So once the bridge closure happens, we should distribute bridge passes from Township Hall, if that's possible. Because you don't want people snarling traffic, signing for bridge passes, So if it's possible for us to distribute them from here, that would be a good move.
Yeah, we're looking at a couple of different things.
Yeah,
How best to do that. Along with the manufacturer of the cards, maybe seeing what options we have available to do online submittals for the forms or the application. So there's a couple of different things to be considered with all that, but I'm sure we'll talk about that here in the near future.
Okay.
And Greg, you asked also on the update, correct? You're talking about the construction date. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a call into Wayne County. As of now, I will tell you that they're still shooting for approximately, when I say shooting for approximately, that's how they, give their dates, April 1st. But what will happen, if I get a phone call or Derek gets a phone call, let's just say at noon, and I'm not in here, then they're gonna call me, you know, at 12:01, and then I'm gonna come in and see Brian, and we're gonna put it out to people 12:15. So I promise you, when I get it, if there's any changes, it's coming out when I get it. There's not gonna be any waiting, there's not gonna be any conjecture, there's not gonna be any, it's gonna be as it is, but, so your answer is, there's no change so far. Don't read into that. Don't think there could be change, but that's all I'm saying. So when I know, Brian and I are gonna push it out, and you'll have to see my mug on Facebook again, which I'm not on, so
Okay, fair enough.
So could I ask a question on this?
you certainly may.
Just what if, instead of April 1st, it starts on April 15th? You've got drop dead in the letter. It says you're not going to get a change on the date from the 1st of April to the end of April. 2 months is what you're going to get. But what I'm getting at is 15 of your 60 days were just chopped out of this thing and whatever.
Well, if it's the 15th, it's gonna go May, June 15th then, approximately, right? Is that what you're asking?
Well, the
Doesn't
people
chop
who,
anything out, just
I'm talking
adds.
about the bridge authority in Cleveland or Cincinnati that gave you that letter that said you're good from the start of April 1st to the end of,
No. What he's saying is, it starts from the day we do it, and he only going to give us 60 days, period. In other words, if it starts April 15th, it's 60 days from the 15th.
Got
If
it.
it starts August 15th,
60
it goes
days.
October 15th.
I
That's
understand.
what you're
I
asking.
needed to hear
Yeah.
that.
That's, he's asking about, just so the other board members, if, in case you're not clear, about the United States Coast Guard's ruling on the bridge won't be open during our 2 rush hour periods. They've acknowledged that, and that's gonna be big. That's gonna be very big. So, you know, and I apologize. I probably should have put that out. I put it out in a letter to us. That should have been notified. That's my mistake. So that's what Bill is talking about.
That's great news. Yeah.
I only explained that the letter went out. I didn't explain that we got it. We did. That's my fault.
Very good.
So.
Good
Bill,
job.
but thank you for reminding me to talk about it. I appreciate that.
Anything else?
No, thanks, though. You went 12 minutes. Don't worry about it. You're good. You're good for the next 6 months. I was going to have you just sit here, Greg, if that's...
We would need a motion to adjourn, do we?
Anything else? Guys, got anything on the board? Derek? Anybody? We good? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second? Second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Meeting closed.